Welcome to Got Invention Radio. I'm your host, Brian Freed, and I've been so looking forward to tonight's interview. We have Peter Weijmarshausen, the CEO and founder of Shapeways. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you on, Peter. I'll tell you, I learned about Shapeways several years ago, and through the grapevine, I keep hearing it more and more. And it's something unbelievable because now inventors and whoever work on different types of 3D modeling now have an opportunity to just take your 3D model, upload it to your website, and you can actually you can actually make your prototype on there and ship it to yourself. You can actually offer it to other people to purchase. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things that I'm not aware of, but you're going to help us out tonight. So, Peter, if you don't mind just starting off, if you could talk about a little bit about your background and how Shapeways came about.
Sure, I can do that. So, I'm born and raised in the Netherlands. When I was 17 years old, I went to the Technical University in Eindhoven, where I studied applied physics. And actually, during my first year already, I was influenced heavily by some new things that were happening. One of them was open source software, and mainly Linux, and the other one was the internet, which we already had at the university. And I started deep diving into that, so I was really fascinated by computers and open source. So not surprising, my first company I started to work for was a company where we did some web development. And then I got into contact with another company, which was really the first startup, the company called Not a Number, where we were publishing the first free 3D software called Blender. And it still has a huge community of very creative people who make beautiful stuff. So after that, I joined a company where I was director engineering, where we did internet over satellite in Europe. And I did that for almost 4 years. Spun out the technology that we developed into a separate company called Senjin. And I was then in a company making technology for other companies who were using the technology, and so far removed from the end user, I was starting looking for something new when I heard about 3D printing, realizing that, more and more people are unhappy with off-the-shelf products, things that they cannot influence. And, 3D printing and being an inventor or being, a problem solver is an almost perfect marriage. So, remembering my friends from the Blender community, I figured, hey, this might be something they're really into. So I emailed a few of them, called some of them, said, hey, what if you can hold your 3D creation, the things that you have in your computer, what if you can hold it in your hands? And people were like, what? Is that possible? And we're talking 2007. I mean, more and more nowadays we're getting used to the concept of 3D printing, perhaps. But in 2007, a lot less people had heard about it. So, that was the beginning, actually, in March 2007 of Shapeways.
Wow. So in 2007, when these 3D printers were being used by you, and even a little bit before that when you were working with Blender and so forth, were these like little desktop computers, or were these like what do they call them, monster machines that ended up spitting out this little prototype?
Well, it's perhaps a good idea to realize that 3D printing, the technology to turn a digital model into a physical product, already is around since the late 1980s, invented by Chuck Ho. And this technology had been used in when I heard about it for more than 20 years, purely by engineers for prototyping mainly. The technology had evolved. There were multiple types of plastic. The first possibilities of printing in other materials were starting to come about. And what we really did is say, hey, why only prototyping? Why only use this technology for engineers and by engineers? Why not bring this to a much wider audience where people can not only make prototypes, but really even final products or things for their hobby or replacement parts or anything really.
Right.
And that's how we started Shapeways. So the machines, to answer your question a little bit, the machines were big, still are big, and actually getting bigger. I visited Euromold, a big trade show in Germany last week, where some of the biggest 3D printers ever were announced. But that I don't think is the main driver for everybody to be able to use them. I think what is really cool is that the materials are getting so much better, and it's so much easier to use these machines because services like Shapeways make it more accessible, but also the software is getting better, to model, but also to fix your files, etc. And then, of course, we now have the generation of very small printers as well. The printers we used in the beginning were actually from Stratasys. That was the first 3D printer that was used by Shapeways. And it's basically what they call the fused deposition modeling technology, FDM, which is now also used by MakerBot. And using that technology, basically a wire, a filament of plastic is fed through a head of the printer and deposited in very small layers.
That's unbelievable. And
Yep.
I'm starting to get some questions coming in. By the
Sure.
way, for the listeners out there, I see that there's people are emailing directly, brian@gotinvention.com, or you can go on the chat. I'll just initiate the chat here so you can see it pop up, and if you have a question, you can ask Peter a question directly live, only now, live during the show. If you're listening during the archive show, obviously you can't answer the question, but ask it now, and Peter will be happy to answer it. So there's a question that came in already. I'd like to just kind of go into, and let me see, different types of materials. There's questions that are coming in, but we're going to go through all that, and if we don't answer your question, then please, by all means, continue to ask them. So, Peter, let's explain what Shapeways is from an inventor's perspective. I don't know anything about 3D modeling, drawing up a 3D drawing, a 2D drawing. Maybe you can just give us some quick definitions of what they are so the listeners at all levels can understand where we're at, and then we'll continue through the process. And then we'll talk about 3D printing, talk about your website, how it works, and how you can actually order a prototype online and sell it online if you wanted to at the same time. But obviously you have to make sure that, you don't have. It's entirely up to you. In my opinion, it's a good idea to get some sort of patent protection on it if you're going to post it. But they do have where you could just print it and ship it to your house or wherever. And then we're also going to talk about how the machines work. Maybe you can explain that and what happens, and then we'll go into other details. So talk to me about how this works. 2D and 3D drawings. How do we, as an inventor, how do we make them up so we can upload them to your website?
Sure. All right. So, the first step always is, of course, you just came up with a great idea that solves a problem, right? And, if that problem can be solved with software, then it's easy if you can write software. But let's assume this problem can be solved by hardware with a physical thing. You need a little something to make it work. Or you have a piece of electronics that needs a housing. In any case, you come up with the solution to your problem, and then how do you make it, right? I mean, if you know that you can sell 10,000 or more, you can go to a mass manufacturer. They are very good at that in China, in other countries. But you need to know how to sell 10,000, and that's probably the hard part. Or you can go and make 1 or 2 or 10 or as many as you need on a on-demand basis using a platform like Shapeways, using 3D printing. So how do you do that? Well, you need a 3D drawing. Basically they call it CAD files, computer-aided drawings. And basically these are files that describe exactly how the product looks like. Let's say a casing for a piece of electronics. Casing basically is a small box, a little bit less high than it is wide and the other dimensions. And, you sketch that out. You can use free 3D software for that nowadays. You can go to, for instance, tinkercad.com, where you don't even have to download the software, but it's in the browser, which is quite amazing.
What is it called?
Or
Tinker?
Tinkercad. Tinkercad.com.
Tinker?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Or you use SketchUp, or you use Blender, still around,
What
or
about
you use more
Google's?
professional software.
Yep.
Yep.
What about Google?
Well, SketchUp I mentioned. It used to be Google SketchUp. It isn't anymore. Google sold it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, formerly known as Google SketchUp, SketchUp is still a great tool that many of the users that we see at Shapeways use. So there is like quite a variety of free software, and then you get, of course, go into the more professional software that is like SolidWorks or even Pro-E or whatever. Now, all that software enables you to draw in 3 dimensions exactly what you need. Remember the casing we're out to make, so you define that in 3D, and when you think, this is about what I need, this will probably do it, then you save the file as an STL file to your computer, and you can upload that to Shapeways. And what we will do is we will check that file for errors. We will repair them if we know how to. And basically, if we think that our machine can make it, the model will become available in your models on the site.
It's very
Then
interesting.
you can select what material you want it in. We offer that in nylon, in ABS, but we also offer stainless steel, ceramic, silver, all kinds of materials.
And different colors, I noticed, right? You have different colors people can choose?
Yes, we also have different colors. So then you can choose whatever material you need. You see the prices associated with that specific material, and you can order it. And then after you order it, we start making it, and within 10 to 15 days, the product arrives at your house, and you can see whether it is exactly what you want. The cool thing is you just have to order one. And if it is already exactly what you need after you get it, then you're set. Or you improve upon it, and you tweak it a little bit. And the cool thing is you still have the digital file, so you can do that quite easily. And hopefully after not too many iterations, you get exactly what you need. And then you're not only set for your product, but you can even start selling it to an audience. You can start promoting it, because we are quite capable of handling the one-offs, but we can also do 10 or 100 or 1,000 copies. So you have no initial setup fees. You have no risk of investing large sums of money. You just try it out, and when you're happy, you start selling it.
That's very interesting. Peter, I'd like to just back up to the 3D printing, because there's a couple questions coming in. They want to know if you can upload a 2D print. I mentioned 2D before, if you could help with the definition, but someone emailed that. And my other question is, with 3D printing, do you have to be an artist to do it, or can you just kind of make your, stick figure, chicken scratch drawings and be able to still use a 3D modeling software?
Yeah. So the drawings need to be in 3D. We do have some easy-to-use tools, which are obviously, because you go from 2 to 3D, they're quite limited. We can extrapolate from a 2D sketch into a 3D shape, but that doesn't give you the full freedom to make any product. I think in this case, if you're really struggling, you should check out Tinkercad again. As I said, it's the easiest to use, easiest to get used to 3D software. But if that is still too challenging, on our site we have a forum, and there is lots and lots of guys there who are really good at modeling in 3D, who are probably willing to help. But that, of course, is more elaborate, because then you work together with someone, and you need to trust them that your idea is safe. So you need to always think about that, of course. However, if I see the amount of people that are using 3D software, and especially with the new software coming out, it's getting increasingly more easy to get into this. But it needs to be in 3D.
Okay, so realistically, I could do it myself.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
And lots of people can. And therefore, why not, if you want